Hello and welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Mood Swings Hoffmeyer, and joining me is Chris Elvis Kelly.
Thank you.
I mean, we have Hollywood Adonis Creed. We have Pretty Ricky. So you like Elvis, so you would walk in there with your suit, your karate chop, and your high kicks. I feel like that would be your boxing persona.
I'd have more rhinestones than Rockula. I said if anyone else out there has seen that movie.
You would get sued by the WBA and WBF because you'd rhinestone their boxing belt.
I get sued by anybody who has an anagram is the thing. Dolly Parton would just...
If you became champion, you would bedazzle the belt with just rhinestones.
They'd give you real jewels, but I would have to add fake ones.
Just like load it up that you could see it from a quarter mile away. Hey, so we're finally doing this, Chris Kelly. We covered all the Rocky movies. We did all the final fights for those. And now we're on to the Creed franchise. We've watched Creed. We've watched Creed 2. We've watched Creed 3. We're going to wait a little bit for Creed 3 so it comes out on Blu-ray so we can get more of the extras behind it. I do think it's really cool that Michael B. Jordan based a lot of took inspiration from anime for a lot of the Creed 3 fights, which is pretty awesome. So we're going to do Creed 1, we're going to do Creed 2 because there's just so much information out there about these two fights. And then when Creed 3 drops, we can do more research and cover that on Final Fights. How's that sound, Kelly?
That sounds great. Mark the Dart.
Mark the Dart. He's throwing jabs.
Speaking of Mark the Dart, Ricky Conlan, who is the one. So the last fight here is between Adonis Creed and Ricky Conlan, and Ricky Conlan is just a massive amount of man, and he moves so incredibly fast in this movie. Like the fight between them, the last match, it's just nonstop, pow, 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 right, left, right, left. The first round of this is just a nonstop clubbering festival. I mean, I just finished watching it for like the 9th time, and it's just, you really feel these punches. They're just nonstop hammering down on Adonis.
Listen, I think a lot of that like these fights look great, and I think a lot of the credit needs to go to Tony Bellew, who was a professional boxer. I mean, Tony the Bomber Bellew. And what's random, he even lost a fight to a guy named Adonis Stevenson.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, that was one of his losses there. And so I was looking through his fight record, but you can just tell the way he moves and the way he boxes. And also too, the first one as well, during his fight with
Leo the Lion.
Yeah, they have a 4.5 minute Steadicam shot. That's one take for the fight when he kind of puts himself in line to fight his name, Pretty Ricky. That's what puts him in line. And listen, I was reading about this and just the way Coogler worked and the way that Michael B. Jordan worked, coming in months ahead. Like he said, he spent months in rehearsals and choreography for the boxing matches. And that you bring in, this is another fun thing, like you bring in like some real Clayton Barber, who worked on The Princess, Black Panther, the Guest, which we talked about, the Blade movies. You bring in Anthony Martin, who he taught boxing for The Office. He was a boxing coordinator for The Office show. I guess there's some boxing in that.
Wow.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of a random fact, but you have like the Steadicam operator even learned how to like Benjamin Semenoff. He learned the footwork, boxing footwork, to to learn how to move while shooting the fight scene. So all of these are just a really well put together fight scene. This final fight's excellent too because you got Rocky in the corner. You got Creed boxing. You got him trying to this is exactly like Rocky. You actually like the guy he's boxing against. It's just a really awesome setup. And this is watching Creed again. I love this movie so much. So I'm glad we're talking about it.
To kind of go back to that first fight that we were talking about, there's a great write-up about it by Cooper Hood for Screen Rant, where he does a play-by-play or blow-by-blow, I don't know how you want to look at it, but of how they did that. And they had the hair and makeup department right off the side, and as soon as the camera would be on the other actor, they would run in and start applying stuff and a little bit of blood here and there, and then they'd pull back, and then as soon as the other person was on the screen, then they would run in and put the hair and makeup on the other guy. It was very intricately done. It was done very much like a dance. It was absolutely gorgeous scene. I love that whole thing. Like you said, it's 4 minutes, 2 rounds, and then TKO in the end of the second round against Leo the Lion.
It shows they put in the work, because you watch so many fight scenes nowadays, and I've done so many final fights where I feel like the fights are kind of chopped into oblivion. And then you also can watch sometimes oneers where they're so focused on the oneer, the choreography isn't that great. You can sort of tell that it's still a great dance, but it's more of like it's just like, hey, it'd be cool if we put a oneer in here, but there's no real reason for it. This oneer in this first, this isn't the final fight yet, but this oneer works because I think first and foremost, it shows how committed Michael B. Jordan is. Second, it works in regards to like, it feels like you're a fly in the wall watching this. And so I think there's a very organic reason why we're watching this. So normally a oneer has to really earn its right to exist, and this one does. And I think it does a good job of setting up the final fight as well. I mean, he beats his first ranked opponent. He looks good. You see how good that Michael B. Jordan has moved. And I mean, yeah, it's a really good example of choreography, camera work, and actors putting in the performances.
And there's also another oneer where you're watching Adonis going into the boxing match, into the boxing ring, and you're just with his trainers and Rocky talks to him saying like, you feel nervous, but this is normal. You know, you're gonna have to take some deep breaths, and then you hear the music a little bit. You can hear the bass from the Tupac song as Adonis is walking towards, and then he finally gets out into the crowds. You see the ring, and it just, to me, whenever you're looking at the ring from his perspective, I started to feel a little bit in my gut, because it was like that one take that you are with him and you're not going to leave him, and you're behind him as well. Like the way it's shot is you're behind everybody. So you feel like you're part of the team as you're going in. You're just like, oh my gosh, like what is going to happen? It's just so beautifully done. And when he gets up into the ring and we continue to look around, it's just like, it's very, very well, you feel with the whole team there, and you just feel the dread, but the excitement, if that makes sense. You just want to know what's going to happen. And then of course the lights go down, you see the fire breather, you see the twinkles of lights, and then all of a sudden here comes Pretty Ricky, and you're like, my first thoughts are, oh my God.
Yeah, that was awesome. And I love how literal the songs are too. You have Tupac's Hail Mary, and then you have Don't Waste My Time by Krypton Conan. So you have, I like how literal they are. Like, he's getting a Hail Mary shot. This is his sort of, they gave him this as a sort of, and also this is Pretty Ricky's last chance to make bank. So it's kind of his Hail Mary to make money before he goes to prison. And then you got Don't Waste My Time, which makes me happy. Like, it's literally like literal songs. And I really like that about it. And also too, I mean, it's just so nice about bringing in Tony Bellew too. I mean, this guy knows his boxing. He fought for championships. And so having him in there, the way his footwork, the way he has footwork, the way he punches, the way he moves, the way he hits, like, he just looks like a boxer. And I think he adds a lot to the movie as well, because he's not super chiseled, right? He's not like Florian in Creed 2. He's not like Drago in Rocky 4. This guy just looks like a, part of my language, but like a brick shithouse. He doesn't have the six-pack abs. He looks like a dude that if you meet in an alley or in a pub and you're with four friends and you see him by yourself, you're walking the other way. You're like, oh, no, I'm not messing with this dude. So I think he adds a lot to the film. Just kind of, he just looks like a boxer. And I dig that about him. And this is a good final fight. Like, I think this rates up there with all the other Rocky final fights, I would say. I mean, I don't think it's as iconic as Rocky or Rocky 4, but I think it holds its own because both these guys are just so committed. And there's a good narrative throughout it, which I love. Like, it's just Creed holds his own. Conlan's kind of shocked by that, and then he wins respect. I think there's a good story. Also, man, I think my favorite part of this fight, and we can go through all the rounds later, but it happens right before round 12, where Adonis's eye is busted shut, and the ref comes up. He's like, "How many fingers I holding him up?" And Stitch hits him 4 times on the neck, and he's like, 4. How many now? And he hits him again, 2. Like, it's so dirty, but they want their guy to fight. They want him to win. And then I think my favorite line is like, "I just want to make sure I'm not a mistake." Like that. I mean, this is a movie about people punching each other in the face, and there's like several moments in this movie, Chris, where I teared up. I did.
It's a beautiful film, yeah.
Yeah, and like, it's Coogler. I mean, Coogler's just such a good director. But I think there's a neat narrative in this fight. Once again, he loses. But also, too, like, I like the crowd work in this. I loved Creed 3, but I felt like the crowds were a little too expansive and a little unbelievable. I thought the fights were good, but some of them just look very video game-esque. And I know Michael B. Jordan wanted to do like an anime look, video game look. But I loved how the crowd got into this. Tessa Thompson being there. Like, I love her smack talk. I love his smack talk. It's just a good... I keep saying this, but I really like the narrative of this fight.
Yeah, I mean, you're discovering Creed's forgotten son. We knew that he had children to begin with, but like you're finding the one son that just kind of was not prominent throughout the entire series, and you're finding out that he wants to follow in his father's footsteps. So it's a beautiful film and storyline altogether. And that whole fight is just beautifully choreographed. And then, like you said, his eye is swollen shut, and then he gets tapped by Stitch, and they're just kind of trying to smooth out his eye, but there's no way. That thing is swollen shut. Mm-hmm. And they're just hammering at each other. And then, on round 12, whenever Adonis gets knocked down, and then, oh wait, I'm sorry, this was in round 11. He gets knocked down, and then he just kind of shoves himself back up because he has a vision of his father. Yeah. And then the announcer says, Adonis is getting up like a man who's possessed. Yeah. And he comes in and just starts swinging at him. And then, of course, in the 12th round, where they're just kind of, they are beating the tar out of each other. Mm-hmm. And he knocks him down literally at the last second. Adonis knocks down Conlan at literally the last second, and is the first time in all of Conlan's boxing career where he got knocked down. And that's whenever we discovered that Ricky actually is still the winner because he had way more hits and way more blows, but Adonis wins the crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. And the respect, like that, I think that's what he wanted. He just wanted.
It's like the end of Rocky, where Apollo Creed still won. Obviously he won, but Rocky won the respect of everybody by getting down the undisputed champion of the time, getting him knocked down, which no one has ever done. And that's what makes him more respectful.
Absolutely. And you and I aren't the offspring of some of the greatest boxers on the planet, but that's kind of a weight too. If your dad is known as one of the greatest pugilists of all time, it's going to be a look that you're going to kind of have to deal with. And then especially if you get into boxing with sort of the nepotism and the weight on your shoulder to match who your father is because of your expectations. Like, that's just a lot. And also too, like, one thing I love about this franchise is how Creed always has that chip on his shoulder, whether it's 1, 2, or 3. Even when he's made millions in Creed 3, you can still feel he has this chip on his shoulder. He still wants to fight. He's still got that temper. And I love in this movie when he starts, in the final fight, when he starts talking smack to Pretty Ricky. Like, I love when he just starts kind of jabbering back at him. And I dig that. I like this version of Creed. Rocky was very earnest. Rocky was like, hey, I just have a head that's impossibly hard, and I hit hard, and I have good cardio. But he would be like, come on. But I think Creed is different in that Creed has, Creed grew up in those foster homes. Creed grew up fighting. And so he does have a chip on his shoulder. He does have that anger. So I love hearing his smack talk during these fights. Like, I love just listening to him jab back at these guys and not take it. And no, that's like probably one of my favorite things about this fight. And like, also too, we've watched all these Rocky fights, and it's really like you have to have a narrative for this going in. Like, so I like how all the rounds are different. So he's getting taunted, he's getting knocked out, but then like he lands, like blood comes in and is like, you belong in here. And then they go back and forth. He gets destroyed. There's slow motion. The fight goes dark. And then you have like the speech with you have the speech like, I want to belong, getting tapped on the neck. If it was just a boxing match, it would be boring. But all the little aspects that they did to this with some of the slow motion shots, when he falls to the ground, when he gets crunched, I think it does a good job of telling the story as well. Where would you rate this with the other final fights?
Out of all of them, or are you talking about the Rocky?
Yeah. Well, out of all of them, where would you put this?
I would say this is probably. I'd say Rocky 1 is Rocky 2 is, I think, number 1. Rocky 1 would be number 2. Number 3 would be Rocky 4, and then I'd say Creed. Creed ranks number 4 because this is. I just like the story behind it, but it's like, to me, Rocky 2 being the rematch, and then them both falling down at the same time, which is unbelievably iconic. And then the underdog story in the first one, and then part 4, that is just nonstop brutality, left and right for like 30 minutes almost. I forget what the actual number is. And then this one just has a great story behind it, but you almost like kind of expect what's going to end. I think that's what's kind of making this rank number 4 for me. But the original ending that was written out was a little bit different. I think it was changed. I'm not quite sure. I don't know if you wanted to talk about that for a second. But the original ending was supposed to be that Adonis wins the boxing match. But apparently Sylvester Stallone had taken a picture of the script and uploaded it onto Twitter on December 28th, 2014. It's rumored that that's the reason why the original ending was changed. I don't know. Do you think that was the reason why it was changed, or do you think that was kind of like they were going to shoot that, but then they're going to shoot multiple different endings and see which one worked?
Well, when did this movie wrap? It came out in 2015. So, yeah, 2015 release date. And so I guess you could have still been shooting in 2014. But he put that up.
And that was changed. Yeah, that was. I read the article on page 6. I thought that maybe that had something to do with the ending, but then again, they would have shot multiple different endings, like we know from watching Rocky Balboa that they shot. I think it was like 3 different endings to that. One was that Rocky actually wins the fight. And you're like, that's kind of stupid. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way he would have beat Mason Dixon.
Yeah, no thanks. No.
No, I won't believe that. But this one, it's like, do you think Creed would have actually won this fight? I mean, they do make that comment. The announcer does make that comment. If we had another 30 seconds, this would have been a whole nother match. And then Rocky says, hey, 10 more seconds, and we would have telling you what. But I don't see Creed winning this fight.
No.
At the end of it, I see Conlan just beating him mercilessly, but I think that he would have had a really good upper hand. But maybe if we had like another 30 seconds, I don't know. What do you think? Another 30 seconds, and he would have maybe gotten Conlan down for that second time.
But they did say in another section of the fight that they're like, if Conlan had 30 more seconds, the fight would be over.
No, so, yeah, definitely.
I mean, listen, Conlan's the champ. He's the pro. Adonis is tough as the toughest nail. But I think if Adonis wins, like, what does he? I think this movie has to end with him accepting who he is and him finally feeling the respect of him. And this is, for me, I'm not a mistake. The importance of this fight was Creed learning that he can hang and that he's not a mistake and that he belongs there and he can live up to his father's legacy. So if he wins, I just think that's a little too soon. I really do. Like, and also, man, like, listen, there have been upsets in MMA. There's been upsets in boxing, but I feel like they're quite rare. So I think this was Conlan's fight to win, and Conlan won it. He won most of the rounds anyway. I think maybe the last one was probably a 10-8, but Conlan had a couple 10-8s. So on the scorecard, he was winning. The only thing that he could have lost by was just dropping. And so if Creed just knocks him out,
I don't think that would have worked.
No.
I think that if they did shoot that, I mean, they did shoot it, I think. If they did use that ending, I think that the audience watching that would just go, no, I don't believe that. And I don't think that it would have been a very good setup for Creed 2 because everybody wanted to see a Creed 2 after watching Creed 1.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the amount of talent you had behind the camera, I mean, Stallone was nominated for an Oscar for this role. I mean, this was a very, very popular and lucrative film. So, yeah, I mean, but here's the thing, though. If he wins, I don't know. He's supposed to be happy with himself and happy with Bianca and happy with his mom and get the respect. That's the point. He has to be happy with himself first. And so even if he loses, but he still is like, I belong here. I think that's the better message that we want to go with, rather than a sort of Cinderella story knocking out Conlan and then the dude has to go to jail for 7 years.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been a very good ending. I mean, we're all aware that he's probably going to go away for a long time.
The one thing I've thought about, except for Creed 3, but in Creed 1 and 2, like I love Drago, I love Drago's kid, I love Conlan, but I think the one thing that keeps these fights from being all timers is that you don't have the charisma of a partner of like a Carl Weathers. I mean, Carl Weathers in 1 and 2 is unbelievable. And as much as I like Pretty Ricky, as much as I like Tony, as much as I like Florian, they don't have the Carl Weathers charisma. See, the thing is, they got an actor to play a boxer with Carl Weathers, and with Tony Bellew, and with Florian. They say Florian. We'll talk about this in the Creed 2 final fight, but Tony is an actual boxer, so of course he's not going to have the acting chops of a Carl Weathers. So I guess you're trading believability for on-screen charisma. Because listen, Chris, we've been on a lot of film sets, you and I, and you can have all the charisma behind the scenes. When a camera points at you, it's a different world. It's a different world completely. So I think Tony does great, but I guess that's the one thing that maybe prevents these fights from being super, like matching up with the fights from 1, 2, and 4 is just the charisma of the villains, quote unquote, that they're fighting. But I mean, I still think Michael B. Jordan has it. I still think Tessa Thompson has it. Like, I love listening to Stallone just like talking about it, like, you're like this. I love his instructions from the ringside where he's like, you belong in here, and I love the announcers too, like he's in a vacuum. It's just it's good work, and like I love the score by Ludwig Göransson. Like I think that works as well. I think it blends a little bit of new, and I think they know when to bring in the actual Rocky theme as well, and they don't overdo it either, which is kind of nice.
They make it its own sound too, which I really like that a lot. And they didn't do it kind of cheesily like they did with Rocky 5. They actually made it like a good sounding soundtrack with a little bit of like the bells being rung and everything.
Yeah, and listen, I've been thinking about rebootquels lately, and I think the Creed franchise is the best rebootquel trilogy of the recent ones. So I think it's better than the Star Wars rebootquel trilogy. I think it's better than the Jurassic World rebootquel trilogy, and I think it's better than the Halloween rebootquel trilogy. I think it just works. I think it knows how to tie in new characters with legacy characters and make it feel somewhat organic. It never feels shoehorned in. So after watching all three, I think it's the best of the rebootquel trilogies, and that's tough to do. I mean, you have a property like Rocky. I mean, it's smart bringing back Stallone, but you have a property as iconic as Rocky, and then you do this, and then make it be so good. I dig. This has been fun watching this again. I've really enjoyed revisiting these franchises.
Yeah, I love these movies. And I agree with that. The rebootquel thing is very difficult to accomplish because it's like you're trying to rediscover a franchise that maybe people don't care about anymore. And this one is adding a different character, but also really trying to explain more of those movies. And I like this one a lot. I think this movie really does kind of make things like explains more, makes it more richer feeling. If that make any sense? And I really love the sound in this one. Like I'm not sure about you, but I'm big into listening to the movies with for their sound. And whenever the first punches hit Adonis at the beginning of this last match, it is like a thunderous shake from the subwoofer. Like everything else, I mean, you know the music. What I also really enjoyed was the sound mixing that they did with the music, which is whenever they're walking out, it feels like the music is being played in the theater or boxing arena. I'm sorry. Not like it's being played through a soundtrack, if that makes sense. Like it does, if you feel like they're listening to this, you feel like you're actually there, which makes the movie seem more believable. But just hearing those punches, like especially the first ones, it's a really good solid hit, and it's like if your subwoofer is turned on, it is like a boom. it's loud and in your face, and then it just kind of like mellows out. But it really is like they wanted you to feel those first couple of hits because you're in there in the ring with him, and it's like whoa. Like
yeah, I mean, and these movies are very much so about music, about sound mixing, about sound editing. Like sound's a very important part of these franchises, whether it's what Bianca's singing or the music that's playing, the walk-in songs, the initial hits on this. Like when everything goes dark, you hear the breathing. You like when it goes to slow motion, you can almost hear the blood flying out of people's mouths.
Yeah,
and the blood hits the ref too in this fight. That makes me really happy. I kind of dig that.
Wearing a white outfit was not a wise choice.
Yeah, exactly. Refs should wear a red shirt. Yeah, or brown pants. No, wait, they're not doing that. But I'm just happy we covered this, and I also too with this movie, I love the relationship between Michael B. Jordan and Stallone when they meet. When he picks up the onions and carries it over for him, when he asks for some notes from Rocky. I love that the chair from Rocky Balboa is there that he still takes out of the tree and uses at the cemetery to talk to not Mickey, to talk to Adrian. Yeah, just pulls out of there to talk to him and to her. I dig that they really did respect the legacy in this movie, where I think some other rebootquels do not respect the legacy of the other franchises. So I dig that. And at the end when he's saying it's you versus you in there, and just having that, because Rocky had a great corner, but he didn't have a Rocky in his corner. So it adds a whole different dynamic when you have Rocky in your corner. It's neat. And also, I mean, Michael B. Jordan did get hit real hard for this. Like he got, have you ever watched that? He's like, while shooting the final fight scene, Baloo caught Jordan clean on the chin. So much in the fact that it put him down. Did you see that clip?
No, I did not.
Oh yeah. So if you watch it, if you just type in Michael B. Jordan get knocked out, Sylvester Stallone, he's like young Creed getting KO'd for real. Like he put it up online, and Michael B. Jordan's like, I wasn't knocked out. But if you watch it, just type it in, and also too, like Tony Baloo said he only went 40% with that knockout punch, and I would 100% believe it because when I was sparring one time, I was like, all right, 30%. I got a concussion from a guy's supposed 30%. So you can really hurt somebody with those, and he got caught right in the chin. And when you watch that slow motion shot of him falling to the ground, you're like, it looks like Michael B. Jordan got knocked out. Like it's like his entire body just goes slack, and it's either really great acting or just an unconscious dude landing face first on the mat. But it's cool. Like it's you can tell. Like, you know what's also too is, as much as I love the original Rocky films, there's so many times where they're just hitting air, and you can tell this one definitely looks tighter. The choreography looks a little tighter. I don't think the narratives are as thrilling, but I think the boxing looks. It doesn't look like someone's hitting air, then someone throws their head back, which is fine because you don't want people getting concussed every punch of a fight. But I do think it's a little cleaner choreography. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, it looks a lot tighter. Especially the shots aren't as stylized. It's very raw feeling. Like I think that Ryan Coogler really wanted to like kind of put people in the ring with these guys, as opposed to with the other Rocky movies, you're kind of more of a bystander. He wanted you to feel like you were actually part of the action.
And also what's cool too is Adonis Creed is such a different fighter from Rocky and his dad. His dad's footwork, Carl Weathers' footwork in the first two, like he was so light on his feet, like he was more just sort of, like Muhammad Ali, much more.
Yeah, he was dancing around.
Yeah, exactly. And then Rocky is just a sledgehammer, pretty much. He's going to lead with his head and follow with his fists. Adonis, he's not a carbon copy. He's not even that showboaty when he's in the ring. Adonis is not a showboat. He's more of a, let's see, what's the word? Blue collar fighter in there. And I like that about him too. I think it adds another element that I like. He's not, I'm going to get punched in the head 40,000 times like Rock. And I think if he was, like his dad, it would feel like he was mimicking that. So I like that they gave him his own style.
Yeah, I mean, I like the way that he moves around and everything. You don't feel like you're watching like you said, a carbon copy of Apollo Creed, which I think it wouldn't fit his personality because Apollo's a lot more showboaty than anything else.
And Adonis is just a sledgehammer.
One thing that wasn't mentioned though, did you notice that the girls that pull the drapes for Creed before they walk out into the arena, those are the same girls that are the round card girls? I don't know what you call them, but the ones that hold up the round.
Oh, the ring girls?
Round two. Yeah. I noticed that and I was like, because
they better get paid twice.
Me with my background, my history with a conducting background for movies, I noticed that immediately. I was like, whoa, wait a minute.
What'd you think about the background in this? They don't really remember in the first Rocky how insane the crowds were? Remember like in Creed 3, some of the background in Creed 3 is not great, but I remember like Rocky 4, Rocky 1, Rocky 2, fans went nuts. What do you think about the extras in this?
I think conducting the background in the first Rocky films was a lot harder than it was to do it in this one. Mainly because in the first one, as we discussed, most of those people were in wheelchairs, and actually you can see their nurses with them. And there's a lot of choreography that's going on with the background that just no one really cared about in those days because everything was on film. There was no one really had a VHS player at the time, so the chances of people rewatching this movie was slim to nil. So they didn't really think about it too much. And there's a lot of holes everywhere. So that I think would have been a pain in the butt, but at the same time, you're like, whatever, no one's going to watch this again. So it doesn't really matter that much. Rocky 2, I think you had to like more build that around closer to the ring because that's a very tight sequence. With this movie, I felt like it would have been a nightmare, mainly because when you had to get the crowds going, Conlan, that would have been very hard to get because I'm sure that what they had to do was they probably recorded. I'm going to safely say that they had about 200 extras, maybe 250 extras.
That's safe.
Somewhere around there.
And then green screen.
Exactly. And then they had to do plate shots and then put everybody around the whole arena, which we've done many different shows. Yeah. That is, in case anyone out there is wondering, it's doable. It's not hard, but it's a pain. It's a very long process to get all that through. But to get them all to chant like Conlan, that was probably a little bit more difficult, I would think. And then also, whenever you're having them all switch then to Creed, it seems like it wouldn't be that difficult. But trust me, whenever you're trying to get 250 people to say one thing at the same time, all in unison, it ain't funny.
No, it's not. When they're extras, it's double hard.
It's very difficult to do that. And the choreograph with the lighting. I'm sure that what they had to do is when they built around the arena first, and then they had to do the lights, and then they did the next section, and then they did the lights again. I would be willing to bet that a lot of extras probably wound up leaving early just due to headaches with the lights. That probably wasn't a lot of fun. But the crowd work in general, I thought was pretty well done. Like whenever Adonis is coming out, you see that there's people just going boo and giving the thumbs down. You got a couple of people cheering on, which I thought it's believable. It's realistic. But the person that everyone's coming there to see is Conlan. So as soon as he comes out, it's like Mardi Gras, you know, everybody's having fun and they're like, yay, he's here. Which I mean, shooting that, I mean, you had him for you had Pretty Ricky for a little bit of that. And then a lot of that was just done with, one of the ADs basically saying, okay, now look at me. And, I'm Ricky, when I'm walking through, like you're supposed to be. So that's a little bit more, I don't know, that would have been a little bit more difficult to shoot. But I assume that was probably about a 2-week process, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good though, and
Yeah,
listen, they had to make it seem like Goodison Park in Liverpool was packed. Like that's not easy. And you're right, you're gonna have to plate shot it. You're probably have to grab 20 extras and then have them act in front of a green screen and then populate the rest of the crowd. Like I had to do that on Hunger Games too, where you get 20 extras and they stand and boo and clap and cheer, and then they just populate. We did that for an entire day, and then they just populate all the crowds. So
we had to do that for several different movies. I did it for the Tomorrow War, the scene where they're all protesting. It was like 15 background, and then we had to move them like a little further. And then it's interesting because when you're watching it, you're just like, yeah, that was actually 15 extras. It looks like a couple hundred.
Yeah, it's nuts. And that was a very eye-opening experience for me. So whenever I see really digital crowds, I feel for the filmmakers because, listen, you're not going to pack Goodison. You're not going to do it. Like you're not going to get Wembley. Like you're not going to get the O2. Like you're gonna have to. I mean, maybe you could have people stay after a fight is over and have them work till 6 a.m. like they did with Rocky Balboa.
Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, but I mean that's just as tough too. And people are unruly. People are drunk. So just slap in digital crowds. Who cares? But yeah,
unless you can do Major League, which. If anybody out there wants to talk about that, whoa, check out that podcast Mark and I did. Like, what was it, 20,000 extras? Oh my lord!
And then Dark Knight Rises did that too. Like you can bring people out. It's just, but I mean, this still looks 10, good. But that's not the focus though. I think the focus was more on Adonis in this, and they did a good job on it. Like it's interesting where the focus is so much more so on Adonis in this fight. When in the first Rocky, you really focused on Creed. You really focused on Rocky. Like they shared the screen. In this one, the majority of it is about Adonis's tale. Conlan's important, but he's not the main focus like Weathers was, like Apollo was. So I think even though they have that gigantic stadium, you can get in close because this is Adonis's story and Rocky's story. So it makes sense that they're kind of able to narrow down everything and not make it feel like a gigantic spectacle. But hey, Chris.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. Just a quick noting, the final fight was sponsored by Tecate. Hey. I thought that was interesting because I was watching it and I'm like, I'm just getting slapped with Tecate.
In between every round, Conlan and Adonis have to chug one.
It's insane how they actually made it to 12 rounds. It's
by the 12th round, the final gut shot of the 12th round, I am projectile vomiting Tecate all over the first 8 rows of the audience. It's going to be a Tecate explosion.
It goes from a boxing match to a Gallagher show.
Yeah. But I'm still on my feet. And it's, keep going. And it's just the two of us trying to hit each other in the stomach. Oh, no,
There's a lot of good stomach shots in this, actually. I mean, the ribs must have been like mashed potatoes in reality. My God.
Yeah, I was going to say jelly. Like one side's mashed potatoes, the other side's jelly. It's
disgusting in real life and if it actually happened.
Conlan pukes.
He lost 3 ribs.
Wait, is that rib and Tecate flying out of his mouth? I bet if they did an X-ray on Creed and Rocky, after all their fights, their ribs are just gone.
Yeah, like that was one thing I noticed with Adonis. Like, I mean, half the match he's holding himself because it's like he got nailed in the ribs, and he's like, whoa.
His liver has exploded too, so it's everything. Yeah, I think they're like, listen, you're technically dead, but you're still alive somehow. I think in this world, I really believe that bones are stronger and heads are thicker.
It would almost have to be. I mean,
this isn't so we can't look at it as our world. This is Earth 608, where ribs are made of titanium, and skulls are made of like skulls are double thick.
Skulls are made out of double titanium.
Brains don't rattle. Orbitals don't break. So that's
What do you
why.
think about if Apollo had actually made a guest appearance in this? Like, I mean, like a real
like
one,
a
right?
ghost?
No. I mean, like, because like he sees a vision of his dad, and that's what causes him to get up and fight again. But like, what if, like, let's say for instance, while he's training or something, and we had him there or something, like he's boxing and like he's like an apparition boxing with his dad.
Like a force ghost?
Yeah, what do you think? Like, do
No.
you think that, you know, I'm not saying it's a good idea.
No,
I'm just saying it's an aid and it's an idea. I mean,
No, I like it, but I'm just in my head. I'm thinking because he never met him,
yeah.
and so he wants to live up to them, but he also is like that dude just put me. I lived in foster homes, so it's. I mean,
Well, I just got that memory of whenever when Carl Weathers is giving his recipe for a rib stew.
yeah, we're getting our stew on, baby. Hey, you see his ribs? They're jelly. We can you turn them into paste. Well, I mean, he does do some of that when he puts on the tapes of his dad and he recreates the boxing matches with Rocky and Apollo. Remember when he stands up to the screen? But you're talking like a force projection.
Yes, exactly. But I don't think that would have been a good idea. But like, what do you think that if that was the decision, if Coogler was like, okay, I want to add that into it? I don't know anywhere that would have ever existed. Because I mean, that last training montage was great by itself. I think that if they would have added that, it probably would have not worked. But I do like the idea of Apollo being all around him at all times. I mean, you do see pictures of him, posters of him, videos of him, and it's like he's a character, but he's not a character, if that makes sense.
It would be better if the force ghost of Apollo was hanging on the back of one of those ATVs, like hanging around a guy, like with his arm around him while they were doing the wheelies. That's when it would work.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, while he's on the back of an ATV. That's when I want to see Apollo.
Critics across the board loved this movie, by the way. I mean, I don't know if you did much reading about the critics, but everybody loved this movie, and everybody talked about Sylvester Stallone's performance in this, and he was actually nominated for an Oscar. He didn't win though.
Yeah, Mark Rylance, Bridge of Spies beat him. And listen, this is 7.6 on IMDb. The average on IMDb 6.8, so this is well above average.
Oh yeah, and the meta is 82. That's nuts.
Yeah, when the meta gets that high. I don't know, what is there to dislike about this movie?
I don't think there is much to. I don't think there's anything. Maybe the character of Tessa Thompson's character is like kind of like why, but like there's. I mean, you needed to have him to fight for something, not just his honor, but to prove it to himself and to be like, this is the woman that I love. That I am not like some schlub. I guess that's the only thing you can really say. But like that's the only character that I think is kind of like a throwaway character. But other than that, everything else is very tight and very perfect.
Yeah, I think she's great.
I think she's good too. I like her music too.
And I mean, yeah, exactly. And I mean, listen, you have Adrian in the first one, so then you got this relationship, and I like the knocking on the door scenes. I like, he knocks on the door and he's kind of he acts all tough and he acts all nice about it. So no, I like that about them, and I think throughout the franchise they grow to be a really good team too. So
yeah, I think it's very very solid. If anybody's out there interested in wanting to watch this, it's currently streaming on HBO Max, TNT, TBS, Amazon Prime. You can always get it to rent at Videodrome here in Atlanta.
Where can people find you, Chris Kelly?
I got to plug those guys. I love Videodrome so much. You can find me on Instagram or I guess walking around as well, Atlanta. My podcast is Classic American Movies. We're still putting out new episodes whenever I can. I'm blessed right now to be able to have some time to be able to put out a few episodes. Please check it out anywhere you can find your podcast.
Yeah, check it out. Check out the Zombie 2 episode.
That was a great one. Yeah, I love that episode. I actually listened to that again the other day, and I was like, wow, that was good.
Hoffmeyer.
Classic Hoff.
Well, hey, I just want to tell everybody, just thank you for listening. We were just #1 in India, so if you're currently in India right now and you are listening to the podcast, thank you so much for checking us out and being a fan. That actually means a lot to us that, there's 2.5 million podcasts out there and you spend your time listening to movies, films, and flicks. So I really appreciate it. So thank you so much for that. So for me, Mark, Mood Swings Hoffmeyer, for Chris Elvis Kelly, this is Movies, Films, and Flicks. We'll see you next week.